President Trump's announcement of the U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement sparked intense debate over the economic and environmental implications of the decision. Trump argued that the accord was detrimental to the American economy and vowed to prioritize domestic interests over international commitments. Here is the logic chain behind President Trump's rationale for withdrawing from the Paris Agreement: 2 hypotheses and 5 premises. The logic chain suggests that by prioritizing domestic economic concerns and shifting environmental funding from international to local initiatives, withdrawing from the Paris Agreement would protect U.S. jobs and provide more direct benefits to American cities and citizens. However, critics argue that this rationale oversimplifies the complex interplay between global environmental challenges, international cooperation, and long-term economic resilience. Let us analyze the veracity of each premise in President Trump's logic chain for withdrawing from the Paris Agreement. Premise 1. Sectors of the United States economy would lose revenue and jobs if the United States remained part of the Paris Accord is a fiction. The claim is disputed by critics who argue the study cited by Trump overestimates job losses without considering potential gains in alternative energy sectors. Premise 2. A study asserts that the Paris Accord would cost 2.7 million United States jobs by 2025 is also a fiction. While the study making this assertion exists, its methodology and conclusions have been vigorously disputed by environmental groups. The study's findings are not universally accepted as fact. Premise 3. President Donald Trump mentioned specific United States cities, e.g. Youngstown, Ohio, Detroit, MEG, and Pittsburgh, PR, that would presumably be negatively affected by the Paris Accord is also a fiction. While Trump did mention these cities in his speech, there is no evidence provided that they would be specifically negatively impacted by the Paris Accord. The presumption of negative effects is an assertion, not a fact. Premise 4. Donald Trump aims to focus the United States' empathy on internal matters within the United States is a truth. Trump's stated intention to prioritize American interests and address domestic challenges aligns with the claim of focusing U.S. empathy internally. His policy strategies reflect this objective. Premise 5. Donald Trump rejects financial assistance for pollution controls in developing nations to instead help cities within the United States is a truth. Trump's policies included cutting off funding to international environmental programs, while emphasizing support for U.S. cities, corroborating this premise. Let's delve deeper. Based on what we know so far, are there any fallacies present in the logic chain? The logic chain presented in President Trump's rationale for withdrawing from the Paris Agreement contains the fallacy of hasty generalization. This fallacy occurs when a conclusion is drawn based on insufficient or unrepresentative evidence. In this case, the claim that remaining part of the Paris Accord is detrimental to the U.S. economy, hypothesis 1, relies on a study asserting potential job losses, premise 2. However, this study has been disputed by environmental groups, and there's a lack of comprehensive analysis considering potential job gains in alternative energy sectors. Similarly, the assumption that redirecting funds from international pollution controls to domestic needs will provide more immediate benefits to U.S. citizens, hypothesis 2, is based on a hasty generalization. While targeted domestic investments may yield some localized benefits, this claim overlooks the broader, long-term impacts of international environmental cooperation on the U.S. economy and population. To avoid this fallacy, the logic chain would need to include additional premises that provide a more balanced and comprehensive assessment of the economic and environmental implications of withdrawing from the Paris Agreement. Premise 6. Studies indicate that investments in clean energy and sustainable infrastructure can create new jobs and economic opportunities in the U.S. is a truth. The claim that investments in clean energy and sustainable infrastructure can create new jobs and economic opportunities in the U.S. is supported by the evidence found. A IPCC report highlights the cost-effectiveness and potential economic benefits, including employment growth, of investing in domestic clean energy projects. Additionally, AB article on sustainable aquaculture advancements further reinforces the notion of economic opportunities arising from sustainable domestic investments. Premise 7. Global environmental challenges, such as climate change, have long-term economic consequences that can affect the U.S., even if not immediately apparent, is also a truth. The premise that global environmental challenges have long-term economic consequences that can affect the U.S. is supported by the evidence provided. While immediate benefits from reallocating funds might be possible, such shifts could jeopardize critical long-term international efforts aimed at maintaining environmental health, which ultimately impact the U.S. Moreover, redirecting funds away from international initiatives could undermine broader climate benefits that indirectly affect the U.S. In conclusion, the additional premises, Premise 6 and Premise 7, introduced to address the hasty generalization fallacy in President Trump's original logic chain, are both verified as truthful based on the supporting evidence found in the provided sources. These premises offer a more balanced perspective on the potential long-term economic and environmental implications of the Paris Agreement for the United States, strengthening the overall logic chain by avoiding the fallacy of drawing conclusions from insufficient or unrepresentative evidence. Alright, let us take a look at the new logic chain. For Hypothesis 1, remaining part of the Paris Accord is detrimental to the United States economy. There are 3 fictions supporting 1 fact refuting, so it is 100% fiction. For Hypothesis 2, redirecting funds from international pollution controls to domestic needs within the United States will provide more immediate benefits to citizens of the United States. There are 2 facts supporting 1 fact refuting, so it is 33% fact. This video is the inaugural release on the channel and holds the top spot on our Fact or Fiction Check dashboard as the most truthful. Thanks for your watching. Join us as we explore, question, and uncover the facts behind the buzz. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay informed.